Welcome to the Positive Spiritual Living Podcast, brought to you by Unity on the Bay. This is your positive path for spiritual living.
Well, here I am. So what are your other two wishes this morning? Why don't you turn to your neighbor and saying, I don't care what my ego says about you. The love within me loves you just the way you are. Go ahead. So, your senior minister, Reverend Chris Jackson, has been my best friend for 22 years, and he has repeated to me numerous times his favorite quote from A Course in Miracles. So I'm going to share it with you this morning because it's a wonderful stepping stone to a larger awareness of what I'm talking to you today about the I am presence within you. Let's start with a quote from A Course in Miracles. This is salvation's keynote. What I see reflects a process in my mind, which starts with my idea of what I want. From there, the mind makes up an image of the thing the mind desires, judges valuable, and therefore seeks to find. These images are then projected outward, looked upon, esteemed as real, and guarded as one's own. From insane wishes comes an insane world. From judgment comes a world condemned, and from forgiving thoughts, a gentle world comes from. Now, the last thing I want to do with you this morning is to make you uncomfortable. But it is on the list here, and make them uncomfortable. And to really understand Chris's quotation from A Course in Miracles, I really want you and I to understand the first thing I'm talking to you about. Don't betray your hardware. Don't betray your hardware. Your brain that you are using as a device to communicate either love or fear. So let's look at your brain right now and understand the processes of your brain right now. Right now, the photons from an object comes through the eyelids and is focused on the back of the retina in the eye. And it is turned upside down, okay? And then it turns into electrical impulses that travels to the back of your brain, to the visual cortex, okay? Yes, in the back of the vortex, the visual part of your brain that actually produces these images that we are discussing here today. Now, here's the rub for you and me, and this might be uncomfortable for you. But take a deep breath here. Anil Seth is a professor of cognitive neuroscience at University of Sussex. And he says this, the brain is locked inside of a bony skull. All it receives are noisy sensory signals that indirectly related to objects in this world. Now keep in mind, when those electrical impulses are going through the neurons to the back of the visual cortex in the back, it is projected onto a blank screen inside of our brains, okay? And so all of the interior of the brain is actually in darkness, okay? Now, because of this, we are not really, what you see right now, you think it is Kevin Rice up here. You think that you see me through your physical eyes here at the front. When in fact, you are seeing me through the back of your brain right now. Hello? You with me? Do you get this? Say, I got it. So, because of this, and this is science here, so don't shoot the messenger here. We are experiencing instead an inner movie that is happening inside of our brains. And because the interior is dark, we can refer to that back part of a very small part of the back of your brain as a darkened room in your brain. Or as metaphysics or mystics would say, or Carl Jung would say, the shadow. Okay? Or the darkness, or what A Course in Miracles refers to as the ego's darkened glass. And what other people would refer to as the matrix. Okay? So the first one is don't betray your hardware, your brain. Secondly, don't dismiss your software, your perceptions, your interpretations that you are bringing to this world. And keep in mind, I do counselings a lot here in Miami and West Palm Beach and Fort Lauderdale. And I tell my people that I'm working with in the session, look, in order to work with me, you have to know one thing and one thing clearly. How important and how critical your thoughts about yourself and your thoughts about the world is so important in this world. If they dismiss this, the whole session will go south immediately. Your mind, and when you're using the brain, is so powerful and so potent, you're going to experience of it each and every time. Now, when I say, for instance, the electrical impulses in your brain, metaphysically, what we really mean is that your electrical impulses is nothing more than your interpretation of this world. That's it. So therefore, we are not directly experiencing the world. We are only experiencing our interpretation of the world. Y'all get this? Say, I got it. So because of this, we feed perceptions, our interpretations of other people and the world into our brain each and every day. And Dr. Nikos Konstantinou, a neuroscientist, will also say this as well, that the brain constructs your reality each and every day. And it is shaped by the sensory signals that we receive in this world. And because of this, there are three ways that your brain operates. The first thing that you experience is the context of who you think you are. If your mindset is a negative Nancy or a Gus Gloomy or then your brain begins to shape your interpretation of the world because of it. Your context, where you are, who you think you are, and where you are, is so important in the brain and your mind. Secondly, the past. Your experience with the past will inform you and your brain how to operate in the world. A Course in Miracles says it similarly, that you've used the past against the present moment. Your future will be like your past, and your present moment will be what? Hellish. Because we're using an illusion, the past, to inform us each and every time. And then thirdly, that the brain is limited in its scope. In other words, our focus is only on the interpretation, the perceptions that we feed in the back of the brain and the visual cortex. What a boy. So because of that, we pretend to be what? image makers. That's all we are doing each and every day. We are making images inside of our brains. And then we are interpreting it, evaluating it, judging it, condemning it, and so forth. Now, let me give you a way to understand this. We're talking about context. So, you are in one of two mindsets, okay, right now. You're in a mindset that says, what is? Everyone say, what is? What is? Okay, that's reality. Then there's many of you, unfortunately, have a mindset of says, what should be? What my wife should be? What my boss should be? What my president should be? What my coworkers should be? What I should be? And everybody living in that should be list in their minds tells themselves in that moment that they themselves are broken and needs to be fixed. And then we repress it, and then we project it on an inner screen, an inner movie. I'm not the problem here. I'm not the one who's broken. You are. You're the problem of my suffering today. You all still with me here? Say amen. Woo. So, we need to change our minds about the world. We're not here to change other people. We're not here to improve people. We're not here to correct other people. We are here to change our minds about our brothers and sisters because we have simply took a detour collectively into a realm of fear. That's it. And because of that fear, and we identify with it and believe to be true, we then delve into our lives with a modality of judgment, a duality-driven thinking, okay? Secondly, we perpetuate a sense of guilt within our lives. And guilt is the most unproductive emotion in the world, and your brain will be shaped by it constantly. And then we shame and we blame through projection, which is the processes of the mind and the brain. And then we are seeking to find something outside of us to bring us a sense of fulfillment and happiness. People ask me all the time, hey, Kevin, how can I know love? How can I find love in my experience? And my answer is always the same. Stop searching for love externally. Because you're telling yourself in that moment that you are without love right now. And you are the love of God incarnate right now. When we know that, you then begin to attract the perfect people in our experiences in time and space. Okay? So it's like us understanding from the way of mastery that we are experiencing a field of awareness, okay? A pool of awareness. And when we're very wise and honest with ourselves, we have to admit that in the past, we have dropped a pebble of fear into the pool of awareness. And we know that when we drop a pebble of fear into the pool of awareness, we're going to experience the ripples of it because of it, the effect of it. But you and I are so powerful. We can change our mind right now. We can drop a pebble of love, compassion, and innocence into this pool of awareness. And because of that, then we're going to experience the ripples of the love and the compassion and the innocence that we drop into this world. My friends, this is not a world of events or episodes. This is a world of ideas. That's it. All correction has to occur in the level where the error occurs. That's in your mind, not in the mirror that you were looking at right now. Y'all got that? Say amen. Amen. Woo! What a morning. Take it down a little bit, Kevin. The world can only give to you what you are giving to it. It's that simple. It's that simple. Thirdly, the first one is don't betray your hardware. The second one is don't dismiss your software. And the third one is activating the I am presence within you. What is the I am presence? It's nothing more than an alignment. You're changing your alignment to that darkened glass of the ego in the back of your brain, to who you really are, your existence, your reality, your soul. That is what you're doing. You're dislodging your awareness and your identification from that, the interpretations and the perceptions, which is largely wrong, to who you are right now. It's instead of being informed every day from the voice of fear in the darkened room in your brain, instead today you are being informed by the love of God Himself. You see, my friends, you have to go to where the speaker is speaking. Where is love speaking right now? Love is speaking right now in the present moment. You say, Kevin, I don't hear love speaking to me now. Well, that's because you are too preoccupied by your own voice, fixated on the past and the future. And because of that, you cover over the present moment. You hide your reality from yourself each and every day. So first of all, we have to rid ourselves of the illusion, first of all, of the separation. Okay, there is no subject here and an object out there. Okay? And the way that we understand perfect vision is when we remove the gap that we perceives between ourselves and the world. When I remove that gap of separation that I myself placed there, when I remove that gap of separation, then my experience each and every day will be an experience of joy, of totality, of oneness, of compassion, expressing the good, the sacred, and the beautiful each and every day. This is why my organization is called OnlyLovingThoughts.com. Only loving thoughts. Say that with me. Only loving thoughts. Look, my friends, when your mind and your brain begins to occupy that space instead of fear and judgment and blame and victimhood, that you begin instead to know that love is the one that's going to really flower in your relationships with other people when you begin to align yourself with it. And secondly here, we have to reduce, if we want to activate the I am presence, is to reduce the level of resistance of an event to what we call the 0 point. Okay? Quantum physics calls it the quantum force of nothing. Buddha referred to it as the void. Shakespeare referred to it as the blank, and Jesus referred to it as the rock. So in other words, you're looking at the hallucinations sometimes founded by fear, which is in the past and the future, as Einstein said, which is an optical illusion, okay? We reduce the level of resistance to 0 point, okay? This happens all the time with me. Okay, I came from West Palm Beach, and the last 2 weeks, I have been trying to figure out where this sound in my car is coming from, and 3 mechanics has always been incorrect. None of them know what's really happening. And then one day, about a week ago, the sound stopped, right? So we were like, okay, then I'll go to Miami. Usually I guess everything is okay. And then I get here to my friend and parked in the driveway last night, and then it stopped completely. In that moment, what happened? An angst, right? I was disturbed in that moment. You see this? What did I do? I know that my mind is so powerful. I can change my mind about this from a disturbing event to what? To a loving one. To unfold the whole event and situation with love and compassion and innocence. And what happens instantly? I am no longer disturbed by this event. I brought it to what we call the 0 point. We saw the nothingness of the interpretation I brought to the car, right? I forgave myself of my own interpretation. And boom, peace arose within my mind. How do we reduce the level of resistance we bring to it? Boy, this is a tough one. I accept all things as they are. I'm in the what is modality and letting go of the what should be modality. When you're in the what is modality, accepting all things as they are, I'm not saying that you should be passive. I'm saying that you accept what is because what you're looking at is already done and over with. It's in the past and you cannot correct it. But you can change your mind today. You can change your tomorrows by changing your mind today. Understanding that you only have two choices, two voices here. Love, which is your reality, or fear, which is an hallucination that is sometimes is hooking you and running your life each and every day. The last point I'm going to give you this morning. The most important question in the world. What would love do now? These are my bracelets. Thousands of people are wearing them already. The most important question in the world is what would love do now? Because most people's questions about the world is not that question. It's more negative and fear-founded, which means, hey, what would hate do now? What would attack do now? What would blame do now in this moment? What would disturbing events arise in my mind? What's it going to do about the future? What do I have to do to correct the past? All of these questions that the brain actually asks because it is founded on a premise of lack and limitation and scarcity. That's why it delivers those questions. When I say, what would love do now, as I did with my car, okay? Time and space collapses. You are no longer identifying with the past and the future anymore. You bring yourself to a receptive modality. You're no longer dictating to the universe how it should show up. You're here now and saying, okay, I'm going to be receptive here. What would love in this moment do? And then you listen. Jason, the last quotation from A Course in Miracles. Y'all having a good time this morning? Yes. Oh my goodness. Here we go. If you will lay aside the ego's voice, however loudly it may seem to call, if you will not accept its petty gifts that give you nothing that you really want, if you will listen with an open mind that has not told you what salvation is, then you will hear the mighty voice of truth quiet in power, strong in stillness, and completely certain in its messages. My friend, God's voice speaks to you, but you do not hear it because you are too preoccupied by your own voice of fear. Hello? Didn't make you to be uncomfortable this morning, but I told you it was on the list. So look, my friends, the most important question in the world, what would love do now? Say that with me. What would love do now? Look, if you don't have, many of you already have this. If you don't have this, you're going to see the volunteers as you leave. They're going to have a bunch of these for you, one of each person. Just to get it, all I have to say to the volunteers is, what would love do now? And they're going to give you a bracelet, my friends. Wear it at least for 1 week, and you will see the egoic mind stop when there's an opportunity for love to lighten the event that you're looking at right now. Do you see this? Only loving thoughts. Only loving thoughts. Say that with me. Only loving thoughts. And if you want a fuller explanation of what we are dealing with in the metaphysics here, join us every first Sunday of every month here in the Cameron House. And I'll see you in 2 weeks. And if no one has told you today that they love you, allow me to be the first. I love you so much, and you are pure light.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Positive Spiritual Living Podcast, brought to you by Unity on the Bay, a spiritual community located in Miami, Florida. Unity on the Bay is supported by the generosity of its community. If you'd like to make a donation or learn more about Unity on the Bay, please visit unityonthebay.org. You can also follow Unity on the Bay on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for even more positive spiritual inspiration. Until next time, thanks for listening and many blessings. Namaste.